loves, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Tiarni, and welcome to Suddha Sanctuary.
So our podcast is about sharing experiences, knowledge and wisdom around health and wellness, and they're from people we love and are inspired by, as well as our own. And this is a beautiful sacred space for you to listen, learn and create your own path in life.
Yes, and we are forever grateful that you joined and shared this journey with us. If you would like to stay notified about when we post, please subscribe to our channel and like or comment if you feel inclined. This helps us out a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's begin.
So we feel as though for this week's episode, we were keen to chill with you as if we were all hanging out in real life. So we were going to chat about our past few weeks and some beautiful experiences and magic that has flowed into our reality.
Yeah, so much has been happening these last couple of weeks, not just personally, but also energetically. We feel as though you two are experiencing some current shifts in your life, especially with the new moon in Cancer and crazy stuff happening in the cosmos at the moment.
Yeah, so grab a yummy drink. Herbal tea is super good if you're keen, and relax because this is a super healing time for us all.
We also just wanted to mention that even though our podcast may be about health and wellness, we would love to hear and share your stories as well. You don't have to be an expert in health and wellness. If you're just wanting to speak your truth and set that free, if that's healing for you, that's fine. We want to know and we want to be able to share that with you. So let us know. We would love to connect.
Yeah, so hit us up on our email in the description because we're here and very excited to journey with you. Cool. So Tiarni's going to have a quick chat about basically our experiences over the past few weeks. So Tiarni, go for it.
Yeah, these last couple of weeks have been crazy, and I'm sure everybody is experiencing the same things. The energy has been heavy, then it's light, and it's just really crazy. So both Maddie and I wanted to, share what we've experienced these last couple of weeks. And for me, lately, the energy has been really heavy and affecting me so much to the point where I didn't even want to get out of bed. And I literally just want to lay there and sleep all day. So I think it really started like maybe a week and a half ago. I was waking up with not really a headache. I knew it wasn't a headache, but it was kind of as if a feeling of being hungover every single morning. And that feeling was right where my third eye was. But I don't drink or anything. So literally I was like, why am I feeling like this? This is so draining. And I couldn't even get up to do yoga or meditate in the morning. That's how heavy it was. And I'd be going to work and just being drained all day long, and then come home and just basically get home, eat dinner, have a shower and go to sleep. And that's been my last couple of weeks so far. And I think it's because my intuition is growing, and unfortunately you do cop that when it does start to grow and develop, and also being really sensitive to everyone's energies, especially with working with customers, lots of customers every single day. And yeah, just really taking that energy on board when I probably shouldn't. So
yeah, no, I feel that.
Yesterday I had a reading done with a lady named Ali. She was amazing. If you want to look her up, her Facebook page is called Indigo Ascension, and she's literally the best thing ever. She's such a light. It's amazing. So yesterday I got a reading done as well as healing, and she did reiki. And she's really amazing. Before I even met her in person, she had already started reading my energy. And as soon as we got in, she already had notes written down and everything. And she was telling me, she's I just like to do a little quick reading before I actually meet the person. And then she did a tarot reading for me, but it's not your traditional tarot deck that she used. She said, I forget what deck she used, but it was more vibrant. The pictures were more playful, but it was still a tarot reading, which was really cool. Yeah. And basically, she said, before she even met me, she said that she could feel that I was expanding. She could see this tiger coming out of my stomach, sort of out my mouth sort of thing. And she said, she's I don't even know if that's your favorite animal, but to me, that's you growing and speaking your truth and not holding back anymore. You're, expanding, spiritually, which was really cool. Because as soon, the little reading she did for me already resonated with me. I was like, oh my God, that is actually happening.
Yeah.
And so she got me to shuffle the cards, and I don't really know like what each card meant because I don't know much about tarot, but I remember what she said to me, and she said that in this, like right now, I'm working on like releasing old energies, which is good, which I should be doing to be able to expand spiritually and that sort of thing. The desires that I want, my dreams and that sort of thing, they are coming to fruition and they are going to happen. So just be patient and that sort of thing. I guess with anything, to be patient. And the things that we've like set for ourselves, like with me and my partner, we want to buy a house next year and like all that sort of thing, like all that serious stuff. Like she said, that's going to happen, and it's going to happen when it's meant to, and it's all going to work out. She said I should definitely, in the next 4 weeks, I think it's because the energy is quite heavy, like with the new moon and Cancer and like all of that sort of stuff, is to just have like downtime if you can. And remember to rest and recover. Like even though I work during the week, like as much as I can, like get home, maybe like read for an hour, just meditate or do something that really helps me go into that space where I can relax and just take deep breaths, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah. And what else did she say? She said that I'm definitely growing intuitively and stuff like that, but it's just at the moment I should be working on like releasing old energy and that sort of thing so that I can move on. So yeah, that's what happened with the reading. And then after that went for like half an hour, and then we did the Reiki, and I had this really crazy dream, I think a couple of nights ago. And what happened was me and my partner's family and him were at this house, but when we saw it, it was like a mansion and like so amazing. And we must have fallen asleep like in the house. And then I woke up like at dawn, and I walked outside and I looked back, and the house was like, it looked like a haunted house. Like it was burnt. It wasn't as what we saw it. And the sky was like red, like blood red, and the sun was coming up, and I just knew something bad was going to happen. Like I could feel it. And then I heard this voice calling out to me, but it wasn't my name, but it was like just a call that I knew that I had to follow. And I could hear it, and it was an Aboriginal man. So I started to follow it, and I was walking through the bushes, and I could still hear him calling for me. And then I saw this golden light sort of like at the end. And when I got to the end, the golden light had disappeared, and I was looking everywhere for what it could have been, whether it been like a stone or a leaf or a tree or something. And I found this stone in the ground, and I picked it up and I put it in my hand, and I just like held it for a second, and it started glowing gold, and I was like, oh, this could be it. And then I think it was to the left side of my left ear, I could hear him, the Aboriginal man, calling for me again. So I followed that, and then I was like walking in the bush, and then all of a sudden like this golden light just was like right in front of me, and he was saying this word to me over and over again. And I was like, in my dream, I was like, okay, I have to take this word. I have to use it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to use it. And he was like saying all this other stuff to me that I don't speak any other language besides English, but somehow I knew what it meant. And then I left, and I walked back to the house, and I was sitting on a hill facing the house, and I was sitting in the circle and had my crystals and I had my sage because I needed to cleanse the house because it wasn't as it was. And sister came out of like nowhere, and she came and sat next to me, and I was like, can you go and get the lighter from the house? I need to start saging. And she's like, okay. So she started to walk off, and then she saw something. And so in like Torres Strait, I don't know if it's just Torres Strait, I think it's like a thing like around the world, but we have this spirit, and her name is Punchiana, and she's like a bad spirit, and she comes after the men, and she takes the men away. And like, I've heard stories where you'd never see these men again. So my sister saw her, and she's like, she's coming. And I was like, oh crap, jump back, like jump in the circle with me. Like the circle is like to protect us. And Punchiana didn't see us. And then I held the stone, and I started saying the word that the Aboriginal man gave me over and over again. And that like a protective, like I think like a layer over us, and made us invisible so she couldn't see us. And I'm just going to call it bad spirit. The bad spirit, like she was getting all her props because she was going to kill Dylan and his family. And so she was getting all that organized. And then I said to my sister Irad, we need to find something wooden so we can stab her with. And she said, okay. So we found like, you know, those patio umbrellas with like the wooden handle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we found one of them and we sharpened like one of the ends, and because that wasn't like in our protective layer, the bad spirit could see it like floating, and she said to us, I know you're there, who's there? And then she started walking to us, and I said to my sister, I was like, wait till she gets closer and then we'll stab her in the chest. And so the bad spirit came closer, we stabbed her in the chest, and her like spirit body was laying on the ground, and I put my hands over the spirit's body, and then Irad, my sister, put her hands on top of mine, and I had the stone in my hand as well. And I just started chanting. I don't even know what language I was speaking, but I was chanting. And like in my dream, I like knew consciously, like, where is this even coming from? I don't know this language, but I knew what I was saying was right, which was, so weird. And her, like the bad spirit was like going into the stone. And then it was in there. And then I put it up to the sun, and I asked the sun to shatter the stone and make it disappear and make sure all the pieces just disappear into air. And then, so I said that. And then I chanted the word the Aboriginal man gave me like 3 times. It's like powerful and as loud as I could. And the stone shattered and it went everywhere and it just disappeared. And then my sister and I, we walked back down the hill back to the house, and Dylan's family came out, and Dylan, which is my partner, they were like, what just happened? And then they saw the house as it truly was, like the haunted house. And then we burnt it down. And I explained that was my dream.
Wow.
And it was pretty crazy.
So amazing. I've never had a dream like that. I just really, really want one like that. That is so cool.
Yeah, I'm like one person to remember all my dreams, but that dream like meant so much. And I posted up on Facebook like to see what my family thought about it and that sort of thing, because like the bad spirit Punchiana is such like she is so significant in like our stories and stuff like that, and we do fear her because she is bad.
What did they say?
So what were we gonna say?
What did they say, like your family, about it?
Oh, they just said, they asked if I was okay and stuff, and they were confused because they like Punchiana was coming for Dylan's family and Dylan, but usually she just comes for men, and so they were like, no, are you okay? Like, she's scary, that sort of thing. But to me, I was like, oh, it wasn't scary at all, because I knew what I had to do was right, and I knew the thing that I did, and like the reason she came, like I didn't fear that in my dream, but usually in real life, like I'd be afraid.
Yeah, it's like you kind of had a bit more of a power. Yeah,
it's so weird. And then, so I shared that, and my family were like, oh, I hope you're okay, and like a little bit confused as well.
Yeah. Wow.
And then when I told Ali yesterday, she was like, wow, that's really, really interesting. She's like, don't tell me the word if you know it, because that's a gift to you. You've been giving a gift, and don't tell anyone or don't use it until you know exactly what it means and you know exactly what it is for. And I was like, yeah, that does make sense. But I wasn't sure whether, that was a guide coming through in my dream trying to communicate with me, because like for like the past couple of months, that I've like you do my card readings and I ask my guides and my angels to be there with me, and ask for these messages and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so if it was something like that.
Yeah, and she's like, that's really interesting. And then we did the healing, and I didn't really see like anything while she was doing the Reiki on me. She is so beautiful. Like before she started doing the Reiki, she took me through like a guided meditation, and she took me to a temple to put like a protective sort of like light around myself before I like take off wherever I may go. Because some people, when they get healing, I don't know if you've experienced this, but they do travel into different like dimensions, or they do stay in their body, but for me, I like leave straight away. That's what she said, that as soon as she started, I was like gone. She doesn't know where I went, but I left.
You're good. That's crazy.
And then when I was laying there, I could hear it wasn't me, but it was like a male loving voice, and it was like, surrender my girl. And I was like, I just surrendered into like the healing and just really relaxed and got into that deep state. And then I could see, like, when you put the little man on Google Maps and you can just see the street. Yeah, I could see that, and I don't know where I was, but I was like looking left and I was looking right, but there was all these buildings and stuff. And I was like, I don't know what this means. It doesn't make sense.
Wow.
And then when I came, and then Ali brought me back, she'd done the healing, and she had like heaps of things she picked up too. And she said, the first thing she said to me was, is the word that the Aboriginal man told you, wasn't this? And I honestly nearly started crying because she didn't guess the word. She was obviously given the word for a reason, because she told me what the word was. And I was like,
gosh.
yes, that's the word.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really
is
crazy. And she said, you do have an Aboriginal man as one of your guides. He came through and he told me, like, this is the word. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like mind blown. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he came through. Like that just.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It literally just like confirmed my dream. Like, oh, and it was, she said, he's a very powerful being. He's very spiritual and he's very loving, and he's here as one of your guides. She said she was even like afraid. She wasn't like really scared, but she was like afraid to make eye contact with him because he was so like powerful.
Wow. So did she like see him like in the room that you were in, or was it more like with her eyes closed?
I'm not sure. She didn't really say, but I could imagine it could be like her mind's eye sort of thing, or probably in the room. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because I did ask for my like guides and my angels to come down just to like as my intention to like, give me messages through this healing, and is just what I'm doing and what I'm experiencing, is it like meant to be? Because I'm confused. I don't even know, like, is my intuition growing? Am I meant to be following this and that sort of thing? That was definitely confirmation that I'm currently on the right path. And even though I'm not doing what I want to do to be able to be of service and that sort of thing, it's like only temporary, like working and stuff like that.
Yeah. No,
so yeah, she told me that, and I was like, holy crap, like this is amazing. And she said, I asked what his name was, but he wouldn't give her a name, which is fair enough. And I think that's really
a nice thing.
Traditional sort of thing when it comes to Aboriginal culture. Especially like a past ones, we don't usually like say their name, that sort of thing. So that could be why he didn't want to say it, or I'm not ready to hear it.
One of the two.
And then she said that the energy that came out of me, it was like an outburst of energy, and it was like magenta, and it literally surrounded my body. And then she could see like a green healing energy sort of like trailing behind me. Then she said she's all like aliens and like random stuff as well. And I think, but like my Aboriginal spirit guide came through, and that was like the most significant for me, because it was just clarification that yes, I'm on the right path and I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, sort of thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I think that was it. I know there was like more to what she said, like about the healing, but I just can't remember right now.
Those are the significant things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I'm looking forward to and she said something about new relationships in your life in my like reading, and I couldn't think of it like yesterday. I was like, oh, could it be that, me and Dylan are growing together and we're like kind of ready to settle, that sort of thing. And then I was thinking today, I was like, oh my God, it's Maddie.
It's me. That's funny. No, well, you never know, hey? I mean, like, that is definitely like something new. Like,
yeah.
No,
and
it's so nice.
It's like one of my recent new friends that I've made. So I'm like, I think, that's Maddie.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So do you go back to her at all? Or was it like a one session sort of thing?
Well, it's funny because at the beginning of the year, have you like heard of those psychic expos that travel around Australia and stuff?
Yeah. So it was one of them?
Yeah, well, not really. Well, at the beginning of the year, I wanted to go see her there because I thought she was going to be there, and it's literally like a 5-minute walk from my office. So I got to the psychic expo, and one of the ladies said that she wasn't doing readings, and I was like, oh, damn. And then for so long, I've been wanting to get a reading done by her, but I've never really had like the time, and I just keep forgetting. And then like coincidentally, I like took a day off, like on Friday, I took the day off before she even posted about it. And then like, I think a couple of weeks after, she said that she was doing readings and healings, and I was like, oh, wow. And then, so I booked one for Friday, but she couldn't do it. Like Friday just passed, but she couldn't do it. So I did it yesterday, and I think it came through at the right time.
Yeah,
like,
when it all meant to be.
Yeah, like I think if I had a reading done by her at the beginning of the year, that would have been it. Like I wouldn't have never thought to go back, but this reading and the healing like is just, definitely meant to be. And I texted my mum about it, and she said, even though you chose Ali to be your healer and that sort of thing, just remember that your guide also guided you there, because he would have chosen her to send through that message and give you that confirmation that you're on the right path and that sort of thing. So just thank your guides and angels. And I was like, that's so true, because things happen for a reason. And like I said just before, like if I had got the reading from her at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have thought to go and see her recently. But obviously, you know, he led me there for him to say, hey, I'm one of you guys.
Yeah, this is me.
That was just like a really like nice reminder from my mum. Like, you know, we choose things in our life, but we're also guided there by something, whether it be our soul, the universe, our guides. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's very, very cool.
So that's me. That's like my most like exciting thing that's happened to me lately. But this morning when I woke up, I actually didn't feel like that grogginess feeling, or I didn't feel that headache. I was literally like ready for the day, and I was up early, and I was like,
that's
wow,
so
like,
nice.
Yeah. And Ali just said just to watch what happens in the next 4 weeks. Make sure you have that downtime and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
No, that's so cool. And I kind of relate to that, like, grogginess and stuff, because, like, I had a healing, like, I've had a few in terms of, like, sessions with my friends. There's, like, 3 of us that go, and then we have, like, individual ones as well. But, yeah, like, previous to them, I did have, like, this, it was almost like a pressure, I feel like, in my third eye area.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a constant thing. And it was like whenever I do like a releasing pose in yoga, or even just like letting go like really heavily in like breath work and stuff, I would really like intensify. And I was like, it was just so, it's such an odd feeling. And like I haven't had it again, but like since the healings and stuff. But yeah, it was kind of, I feel as though something, to do with that intuition and that other, way of seeing things, I feel. But I definitely feel that.
It's crazy because you know it's not a headache, and no Panadol or exercise or water can heal it, because every time you try, it's still there. And like I was like, I knew not to take Panadol during the week. Like I don't really like tablets and that sort of thing. I'm more like a natural person when it comes to like headaches and stuff. But you just know intuitively that this is not a headache. This is something else. This is like an awakening. And I don't know if you felt that too, but that was definitely me these last couple of days.
Definitely. And I feel like when you are like aware of yourself and like intuitively, when you feel like pains and stuff, like I feel as though massive thing like I learnt from the healer that I went to, she was saying how like your internal, like your energetic systems in terms of like your chakras and all that sort of internal mapping, when something's like out of balance or out of alignment, that sort of manifests in terms of like a physical like ailment or sign for you to realize, okay, this is something that I need to sort of work with and like journey through. So that was something that I'd never thought of. Like you go to the doctor and they'd be like, yeah, you know, you've got some congestion, or, you know, it's a knee problem, blah, blah, blah. And like it can be that. But then there's also that other side that is like, well, yeah, that just makes so much sense.
And especially I know that I sometimes experience like back pain, and especially like the first couple of days before like my period like starts. And it's like every time I have that like big meltdown, that cry, that back pain literally disappears, and it's like because I'm holding on to something that I don't even know what I'm holding on to, but after that release it just goes away. So I think you're right.
It's very, very cool, something different.
So what about you? I know that you went to Byron, I think, was it last weekend?
It was when was that? It was not this week just gone, but the week before. So that was crazy. Like I didn't really know what to expect. So for me, it was school holidays. It was like the first week of school holidays. So obviously like a massive term previous to that. So like I could even feel it. I was like, I just need to leave. I was like, there's just so much like ickiness and like, you know, stagnant energy. I was just like, oh, I need it to, you know, flow a bit more. And I was like, you know, Melbourne is just not, you know, allowing me to like have that. And so I was like, oh, this is so good. So it was amazing. And so we flew up, it was really quick flight, which I was pretty happy about. It was only like, I think it was like an hour 45. So that was really good. And then we got into, Gold Coast Airport. And so it's like an hour, like an hour and a half drive to where they are. And so they're in the hinterlands, which is the mountain areas of Byron. So it's kind of like if you're in Byron, it's like another half an hour out.
Yeah.
So it's really magic. And so we were driving through, and it's like, you know, when you go to another place, you can just kind of feel a different energy of it.
Yeah.
You know, so it was really nice. And so that was a really nice drive. And then you just go through, they're on like one of the 10th Creek crossings or something on this other road. Like, it's so secluded, it's so magic.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically when I was there, we were only there for like 4 days, or maybe 4 days or something. And yeah, basically they have, they're like a mum, dad, so, and they have their children, which are older now, and they live on the property, and they kind of come back and forth from Costa Rica. And so I hadn't seen them since I was like 5. Yeah. So that was super crazy to see them again. But they are super into yoga and energy work and like qigong and all these amazing things. And they run their own yoga retreats and everything. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I just would love to see them and just talk about like anything really. Like I was just like, they had just like such a pool of wisdom. Like it was just so cool. I was like, just tell me everything you know. Like it's just so cool. So yeah, I saw them, and the next morning, we got there in the afternoon, and the next morning we went to a yoga session, and I was expecting it to be like in the town in like, you know, like a little, like a yoga room sort of thing. And we go like 3 doors down, and it's this couple, and they're like a gay couple, and it was one of them was French and one of them was Indian, and they were just the most like exuberant people I've ever met in my whole life. Like it was so cool, and they had just like so many like colourful flags all up their driveway. And so we drove up, and they were just so happy to see everyone, and they held the yoga class like on their veranda. Yeah. And it was like this super intimate sort of thing, because there was only about like 15 of us, and it was really nice. And the lady, I think she was like Norwegian or something, and she was 16. She'd been practicing yoga forever, and we were just doing it on the veranda. And because it's in the rainforest, like the rain was coming down, and there were like animals everywhere and heaps of flowers, and it was so magic. Like it wasn't a hard yoga class, it was just kind of a really easy one, but sometimes they're the best. Like it was really, really nice. And then the rest of the time we were up there, because it's like a massive property, there's, I don't even know how many acres, like crazy. But most of the time we just go for walks through the property, and they have what they call like the source, which is they have spring water like everywhere, and that's like their drinking water, shower water, everything. And so we'd walk up there, and it's just like coming through the top of the mountain, and it just like flows straight down, and it is so cool. Like it was amazing. And there are depending on like when you go, there can be crystals in the sort of the river system, and
like crystals.
Yeah, like actual crystals. Yeah. And it's amazing. So we didn't see any there. It's more around summertime. I don't know why, but apparently. And they like show up then, but it's just such a sacred space, like so many birds, and yeah, it was amazing. And then what else did we do? I feel like, what did I do? Oh yeah, and then the morning of, I realised I hadn't done like a yoga session or anything, like with the kids, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? I was like, I'm up here. I was like, need to harness this opportunity. And so I asked them, I was like, oh, do you reckon I'd be able to like have a yoga session with you guys? And they're like, yeah, for sure. And so they were like, yeah, meet us at 7 a.m, like come down there in like a separate cottage, and like, yeah, we'll go from there. I was like, okay, cool. Like not expecting anything like massive. And then I walked down, to the cottage, and they like welcomed me, and they're like, oh, so we're going to do a tea ceremony. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I had no idea what that entailed. And they were just talking about, because they call them their masters, and they're They're not Buddhist monks. I can't remember the name of them. They're something else in some sort of other like system, but yeah, they were talking about the importance of tea, and I'd never really thought about it before, but they had like white tea, which is obviously different to like your black tea, like in your English breakfast or whatever. It's like a white version.
Yeah.
And this pot was like $200 to $300. Wasn't even that big, like it was tiny, and they're like, this is like some of the most pure tea that they drink. And then they had like dried lotus flowers, like actual lotus, and they were dried and they were so cool. And so they had all these amazing utensils and like little whisks, and I was like, oh my gosh, a little wizard factory. I was like, amazing. And so they brewed tea, and they were talking about how they will say it's like, you know, you're drinking prana, like energy, because they were like, you know, this is grown from like the sacred hills, and then that's why tea is such an amazing ceremonial thing for them, because then you drink this sort of like energy, I guess, in the form of tea, but they were saying like it's just such an important practice for them, because it sets up sort of their intention for the day. And I was like, I'd never thought about it like that. And they have little kids, I think they're like 9 and 2 or 3 or something. And, you know, they were all there just with their mum and dad, and we were all just sitting around. I was like, oh my gosh, this would never happen, like in Melbourne. I was like, this is something, like the kids were just there drinking their tea and just like talking. Like it was just so beautiful. And so that was amazing. And then we went up to the source area where the spring is. So you go for a walk. I feel it's like probably like 10 minutes, and it's pretty intense. Like there's leeches and everything. And I was walking through, and like you just constantly have to check yourself for leeches. Like we got a few, but you just sort of flick them off. You get used to them at the end, but that was something different. But yeah, we went up to there, and it's kind of like 3 meters by 3 meters sort of area. And that was where we were going to do like the yoga. And then he started, and he was like, so we're going to do, he called it like Shaolin arts. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it was kind of a mix between yoga and qigong, which is like energy work.
Yeah.
And so we began, and you can hear like the water flowing and like the birds. It's so magic. And he was like, you know, we were standing there, and he was like, you know, hand on heart, belly, everything like that. And we were just breathing, and it was like a guided meditation sort of thing at the beginning. And then, you know, he put his hands on my shoulders, like to relax, like everything. Like it was just so cool. And then we started doing it, and it was so different to yoga in the sense of it not being so much focused on like your asanas and all that sort of stuff. It was more kind of like slow movements. Like we probably only did about like 5 or 6 like repetitions of like 3 poses in the space of like an hour. And so it was really slow paced. So it was something different. Like it kind of taught me a new form of the fact that it was kind of like an art in a way, like moving. It was very cool. And you could definitely feel it. Like, you know, you would regather the energy in a sense, and then push it back down and use it to flow in different ways. And it was kind of like a moving reiki in a way. Like it was very, and it was because it was from yourself and like the earth. It was a very close relationship with those two things. So it was yeah, really amazing. And then we just kind of had a meditation again at the end, and then we were just talking, and he was saying like a massive thing about like people nowadays is like they always just go. And he's like, that's why he just loves going up to that source at the spring, because that's where the water is, and it just reminds him that, you know, the only real thing we have to do is just flow. Yeah. Just like water. He's like, you know, we do have things that we have to do, you know, go to work, blah, blah, blah. But to incorporate that sense of flow and being able to smoothly, like as best as you can, like not this idealistic thing, but, you know, incorporate that sense of flow is such a sort of a sacred thing at the same time, because it connects you to something that isn't like your physical makeup in a sense. So that was something really amazing. And yeah, he was just talking about the importance of water, and, you know, like when you're drinking water, he's like, that is such a life force. Like, you know, the fact like it comes from the sky, like it's just all this cyclical movement of everything. And like he's like, you know, when you're having a shower and everything, he's like, that's just such a healing time, you know, like everything should, you know, wash off for you. But he was like, one of the things we were talking after, and he's like, you know, you're really soft. And I was like, oh, I didn't really know what that meant. But it's like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I was like, you know, what do you mean by that? And he's like, you know, it's one of the best things. He's like, to be soft is really your only, like, birthright in a sense. Like, before you become conditioned in, like, walls of, like, society and things that really kind of regiment everything that you do. He's like, to be soft is basically to flow and to be free. And he's like, to be able to feel your emotion and to be able to communicate with people from a place of love and all that sort of stuff. He was like, that's such an important thing to have. And I was like, oh, like, that's so true. Like, I'd never really taken that time to sort of feel into that and what that really meant. But,
and I guess, like, in today's society, to be, like, I guess, soft or vulnerable or whatever, it's like seen as like a weakness, but it's actually such a strength, because it helps people who are super sensitive as well and super, like, emotional to be able to be like, okay, this is actually really powerful and I should honor that and take that with me, instead of trying to hide it and, like, being afraid of it because people, like, society says it's a weakness. It's actually, like, such a strength to you and a gift as well.
Resonates. I was like, that's the whole part of, like, the human experience at the same time, is to be able to feel such a range of emotions and to be able to use them in a really healing way. I feel like was, like, a massive takeaway from it. Like, it was, when I was there, it was just kind of like something different. It was like I was in another space and time. Like, it was just such a beautiful space. Like, being in nature, I feel, is such a massive priority of mine. Like, it's just so cool. Like, you can pick up on so many things, and I feel like it allows you just kind of to be, like, there and now. Like, there's no distractions of, you know, like, traffic and other people. Like, it is, like, as much as that's a good thing as well, because I'd probably go a bit crazy by myself for a while. So I was like, I need that balance, but it's nice to, to be able to go there and, kind of reignite what is kind of within, because it's like it can kind of be suppressed, I guess, in other like forms, like at school and work and, like, all that sort of stuff. So it was just kind of a nice free space. But it was just kind of made me realize, like, a few things, like, within and what I wanted to do, because I was like, oh, I have no idea what I want to do after school. And I was like, you know, I really feel called to do something along, you know, like a spiritual yoga sort of journey. And they have, like, heaps of contacts in that sort of space. So, we're going to have a chat and sort out a few things. But in terms of that, there was a lot of stuff that just sort of came up at the right time. So,
and it's so important, like you were saying before, how, like, nature is your priority. It's the same for me. Like, without it, I'd probably go crazy. But it's also about getting back to that stillness and that place where you can just be in that present moment. And nature is definitely one of those things that helps that, because you're right, you're not surrounded by cars and traffic and people and constant chatter. Like, when I get the opportunity on my lunch break to go to the beach, I just lay on the sand and everything disappears, and I'm in that moment and in that space. And it's just so important to go back to stillness, especially when you've had a hectic week, or if you work during the week or whatever. Like, that's our birthright, to be still and to flow and just work with the energy and not against it. And I definitely agree with you with getting into nature and doing that.
Yeah, and it was, all those things were just kind of reignited on that trip. So it was, really, really magic. But I feel as though that was a massive part of, like, that Byron trip, but also harnessing that energy in terms of, like, the qigong. It was coming from he said, like, 2 centimeters roughly, like, below your belly button. He's like, that's where this qi, which is, like, the life force energy, is. And he's like, that is, you know, where you feel like your gut instinct or your intuition. He's like, you know, that's where it can lie. Like, it's different for everyone, but I was like, that's where I feel it. Like, some people it's, like, in your chest and your heart, but usually it's kind of, like, more deeper for me. And he's like, that's, you know, tapping into those energy works and breath work techniques that focus on that intuition sort of area is so important, because that's your main guide separate from your mind. Yeah, so that's what those techniques were harnessing, but it was something so different. It was very cool.
And I always think of yoga not just like as a physical like exercise, but it's about like noticing the energy, like with every pose you do, like going from downward dog to forward fold. Like, where is the energy at? Where is it like flowing? Like, you can literally feel it run from the top of your body to your feet. And like, if you can tap into that and that sort of thing, like, you're bringing yourself into the present moment and into stillness. Well, that's how I try to get back, as well as through yoga. It's just not, okay, I'm going to be super flexible if I do this over a period of 6 months, but also I'm able to learn to be present and fully in the moment, every pose, feeling the energy. You know, that's, yeah, so important as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was, yeah, such a super energetic, and everything just kind of flowed up there. So yeah, it was such a lovely space. But that was, yeah, kind of what happened in my past couple weeks. But I remember I got on the plane and I was like, I cried before we left and everything, and it wasn't like sad tears. It was just kind of like, oh, this place is just so special, which in terms like is a nice thing, I feel, for me, because like to know that is like quite an important thing for me. Like, I like to, you know, sort of like reassess like what this emotion is for me. Like, I feel like everything kind of has a meaning. And so when we were on the plane, I just like wrote so many pages in my journal, just like everything I'd learnt. And yeah, it was just kind of a massive release for me, because I feel as though, like, you know, you can bottle stuff up, not like necessarily bad things either, just like, you know, your ideas, blah, 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 like in terms to put that into a physical form rather than it being like an internal thing, whether that be like painting, writing, singing, whatever it is. Like, for me, that was such an important thing, like I felt called to do. But yeah, to get it down on paper, and now I just like read through it, you know, because sometimes you can forget that stuff, and I'm like, no, I don't want to forget it, because it's such a pivotal message. But yeah.
That was like me. After the reading yesterday, I jumped straight in the car and then I just started recording a video, because I was like, I have no time to write this. I need to drive home. So I'm just going to video myself and talk about the whole entire experience of like what I could remember. So when I look back on this, and like in the next couple of months, I can see how much I've grown, and like how much like has actually, like, you know, spiritually, intuitively grown, and what's happened. And yeah. And sometimes, like, I've journaled for years, and when I read back on my journals from when I'm like 13, I'm like, cringe, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. But the ones I read like a couple of, I think, weeks ago when I was cleaning out one of my rooms was like when I just moved to Townsville, and I was just like, I miss my family, blah, blah, blah. But to compare myself like 9 months ago to how I am now, like, I have grown so much. And I think that's why journaling and noting things down is so important, because you can watch your growth. You're the same person, but you're also a different person at the same time.
Yeah, and to like record all the different things that happen as well. Like, it's such a cool like space and time when you can actually like read through it, because yeah, like you said, like all those things, I guess, kind of, you know, create what you are now. But yeah, it was very, very nice. But yeah, and then when I was up there as well, I have sage as well, but I'd never bought like, I think it's pronounced like Palo Santo. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Did that smell nice?
Yeah, like it's I mean, it's still like that smoky scent, but it is almost kind of like a bit florally, like it's a bit more fragrant. But they had some up there, and so I brought some back. And I just have been like smudging, because no one in my house really likes it, so I just smudge my own room. I'm like, look, I'll take what I can get. So I just smudged my own room.
Yeah.
But I've been doing that like every morning, and myself as well. Like, I just feel called to do that, but it is such a lovely thing. Like, you know how you say like you smudge your house and everything. Like, I feel like I have so much gratitude for that practice, because it's so healing.
Yeah, and it just lifts the energy. Like, as soon as you start doing it, you can literally feel it lifting, and it's just like you can cleanse yourself and you can cleanse your own energy, but when you cleanse your whole entire space, it makes such a difference, and you're able to be more focused, you can meditate more, you can sleep well. Like, it's just like the best thing ever.
And, you know, we were talking about it when they were up there, And they're like, like, how do you sort of smudge your room and stuff? And I was like, I go over, like, my door, blah, blah, walls and bed and, like, all that sort of stuff. And they're like, that's really good. And they're like, at the end, if you, like, want to light it again, they're like, just let it go where it needs to go, because it was, like, the smoke in terms of, like, an ancient sense. It is, like, another energetic form, and that'll flow to where energy sort of needs to be, like, broken up and everything.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that's really cool. So, yeah, I've just been playing around with that a bit more. But, yeah, it was a magic trip. So, yeah, that was that.
Yeah, I think this year is definitely, like a crazy year for everyone. And even those people, like, everyone is spiritual, but whether you recognize that or not is a different thing. And, like there's, like, a really big shift happening this year. Like, if you compare it from last year, well, last year was just, like, a draining, hectic year for me. And then this year has kind of been, like, letting go and listening to, like, your intuition and those messages, universal signs. You're seeing things that are, like, one after the other that are making sense, and they're just kind of all in sync. Everything's in flow. Like, there's so many, like, retrogrades at the moment that, things are getting, like, brought up to the surface for you to deal with it. And if you don't deal with it now, well, it's going to come back later. But yeah. I think this year is about everyone, like, making that shift and leaving, like, releasing the old and leaving that behind. So next year we'll have, like, another awesome year. So I think it's happening everywhere.
Suddha Sanctuary comes from a place of love, so we currently don't have any sponsorships.
If you feel like you would be wishing to sponsor and that this is in alignment with you and this podcast, please feel free to email us with the info in the description. Thank you. So me and Maddie, just as, like, a little fun thing to do to end the podcast, this week's episode is we're kind of going to do a card reading for each other. So Maddie has quote cards and she's going to pull something from me, and I'm going to use my Angel Therapy Oracle card deck to pull something from her. So I'm really excited about this because I love doing this.
Yeah, it's so fun. I feel like it's so cool. I'm like, I love just seeing what pops up, because I feel like it always kind of resonates with what's kind of going on. So yeah, it's cool. And these little cards that I have, I'm not sure, what are they called? Oh, it doesn't say. I don't have the actual original box, but they're really cute. They're just there's some from, like, different philosophers and everything, but I usually just, like, choose one for, like, every week. So yeah, it's kind of fun. And they're from the people up at Byron, but I got these when I was literally, like, 5 or 6. So I've had them for so long, and I remember getting them. I was like, oh, like, what are these? Like, I didn't really understand the quotes, but now I do. So yeah, I'll do it. All right. So what one? Okay, I've got it. All right. Oh, this one's a cute one. All right. This is probably one of my faves, actually. So it is: live in the sunshine, swim in the sea, and drink the wild air. So that one's your one.
I'll be a second, I'm just trying to connect. That is so beautiful. Thank you. That like, resonates with me right now, because that's literally all I want to do is, like, immerse myself in nature and also, like, learn the lessons. Like, I love being in the ocean because it cleanses me. I love being, like, with trees because it reminds me of being in the present moment. And every day I look to the sun to re-energize and get back into my body and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
thank you.
So good. Love that one.
Sorry, a card just fell out, but I'm not going to tell you it yet because it's not the one that I chose, but it's just like a jumper card.
Okay, cool.
Which they're just as important as the ones that you usually pick for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
So I got, I'm going to tell you the one I put out actually first. So it's mediumship, and it says you have the natural ability to connect with departed loved ones.
Oh, wow.
And the picture is of an angel, and she's got her eyes closed and she's got both hands to her heart and she's looking up at the sky. She's on a cloud. I can read you what's in the book if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let me just find it. Here it is. So it says, This card is a sign that you're connecting to one or more loved ones in heaven. The angels ask you to trust your feelings, thoughts, and visions about these spiritual connections because they're real. This is very healing for yourself and for others since it conveys peaceful and loving messages from heaven. Perhaps you'll feel or hear a message that says, I love you, I'm fine, I'm proud of you, or I apologize, for yourself or someone who will benefit from hearing these compassionate words. You may be called upon to conduct mediumship for others, either in private practice or in public. Trust this calling as it's a noble mission that helps thousands of people on both sides of the spirit veil. The angels know who is working from integrity and pure motivations, and they will call such mediums into service and provide support, guidance, and protection along the way.
Wow, that's so cool.
And that's the one I pulled for you. I'm not sure if that resonates or not.
No, it does. Because, like, one of, like, a massive, like, thing over, like, the past couple years, like, my friend's dad passed away. And, like, that was a massive thing to deal with as well. And, like, even in our, like, Reikis and stuff, there has been, like, a lot of his energy has been, like, with all of us. And so, yeah, no, that's really, really nice.
That's so nice. And the one I'm really excited about this one because I think it does resonate with you. This is the one that fell out, but it's emotional sensitivity, and it says honor and respect your deep sensitivity as it is a gift to us all.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, no, that I feel that a lot. Kind of like with that soft thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's so
and I think that's so beautiful. And I'm going to read this out to you. So it says, have you been teased or felt bad about the fact that you're extremely sensitive? If so, this card is the angel's reassurance of the positive qualities within your gift of sensitivity. For example, you accurately know whether or not a new acquaintance is trustworthy. The angels are working with you to trust this feeling more often and not berate yourself if you've disallowed your intuition in the past. You are peaceful by nature, so you naturally avoid conflict and other harsh energies. Ask your angels to steer you towards other peace-loving people and keep all others away from you. Honor your sensitivity by surrounding yourself with gentleness in your relationships, media choices, home life, and work situation.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, that's cool. Oh, the little thingy with the megabytes just went to like 1, 2, 3. That's cool. I like that. That's nice.
So that brings us to the end of the episode for this week. I hope you guys enjoy it. We would love to connect. So if you want to be interviewed again, please message us. We are more than welcome to help you share your experiences, your journey, or just for you to be able to speak your truth. So if you want to connect with us, our email address is suddhasanctuary@gmail.com. You can find me, Tiarni, on Instagram, and my Insta name is at Tiarni, TIARNIML.
Sweet, yeah. So, yeah, we definitely loved this episode today. It was something, kind of more chill for both of us, kind of nice to express what's been happening in the past couple weeks. So we really hope you guys love listening in. It was a super special episode for us. And if you definitely want to be a part of future ones, do not hesitate. We would love to connect with you. So we hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or night, and we'll see you very, very soon.